Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Monopoly. I'm sure a lot of you have played the game Monopoly. I know I've played it many, many times. Anybody said, what does Monopoly have to do with today's show? Well, I'm going to explain it in a minute. Hey, everybody. Justin Mirigliani here for USA Global TV and Radio. And we're on You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul. And today's topic is money versus time. What's more valuable? And the reason why I brought up Monopoly was, I guess it was about 10, 12 years ago. I was playing Monopoly with my family, and I remember I was winning the game. I had hotels on a ton of the properties, and I had a lot of monopolies. When you have all the colors and building hotels and houses and all that stuff, and I had a ton of cash, and I'm winning the game, and it's exciting, right? You're winning the game, and you feel like, wow, I got this. I'm going to win it. And then the game ends. And what do you have? As you're putting the game away, there's not that it's a big letdown, but the bubble bursts, right? It's the adrenaline rush of counting, oh, they're going to land on my property, they're going to land on Boardwalk, and I have a hotel on Boardwalk, are they going to land on it? And you're actually counting the dice, and as they get closer, you're thinking, oh yeah, they're going to land on it, and you're all excited. But once you've won, and the game gets put back in a box, and you go to home with the rest of your life. And that's how I kind of look at money. And that was one of the times that a light bulb went off in my head where I thought, that's life. That's life. How much is enough? What is important in life? Is it the money? Yeah, I mean, we need money. There's no doubt about it. It's as someone whose business is now pretty much over, and in the job market now looking for a position to really get back on my feet. Of course, I know that money's important. I get it. But how much more important is time? That's what I want to talk about today. And if you're here to look for an answer to this question, you come to the wrong place, because I can't give you an answer. I can only give you ideas, or at least share ideas, and you can do with them what you wish. But it was when we were playing that game, I thought, wow, this was fun, and now we're done, and that's it. When I was a kid, I used to hear a lot of people who they were good people, well-intentioned, but kind of missed the boat a little bit. And they would say things like, oh, people are so stupid because they live beyond their means. You got to live within your means. You got to live within your means. And I get it. I get what they mean by that. At the same time, it's getting harder and harder to do that now, especially, right? It was hard even back then. I'm not saying be frivolous with money. I'm not saying spend money just for the sake of spending money. I don't go out and buy anything for myself that's really expensive. I mean, I do collect hockey jerseys, or I did actually, until, you know, I'm in the middle of a divorce, and my business is not doing well. The economy's hurt it, AI's hurt it. So it's not a time for me to spend money. But when I had it, I spent it on things that made me happy. And they didn't have to be $45,000 things. They were things like, again, hockey jerseys that were $100, $200, things like that. A weather station, because I love meteorology and I wanted a weather station, so I got one of those. And but mainly, what I wanted to spend money on were things that would make the kids happy. And I will be the first to say this: I spent more than I could probably afford on Christmases, and I would do it again this year too. Even though I don't have a whole lot, I'm going to be spending it on them for Christmases, or for Christmas. And I don't feel guilty about that in any way, shape, or form. I don't look at that and say, well, these guys back in the day when I was a teenager and working with these men, they were saying to me, people's got to spend within their means, and if they don't, they're stupid, or they don't understand money. Uh, I don't agree with that. Somebody else might. So to me, spending beyond your means, it depends on how you do it or why you do it. And that's one of the reasons why my marriage did suffer, because we had different ideas on how important it was to save money versus how important it was to make memories with the money you have at the time you have it. And an example would be, we went on, at the time, it was 10 years ago, an $8,000 trip to Disney World. We really couldn't afford it. It was outside our means. But we spent $8,000 on that trip. Now, my theory was, my kids were only going to be that age. At that time, they were, let's see, 9 and 4. So at that time, they still believed in princesses, and they still believed in the magic of Disney and all that stuff. And my theory is, you know what? I'd rather be in debt and spend that money and make those memories at that time, because you're never, ever, ever getting that time back. You're never getting it back. They're not going to be 9 and 4 ever again. It's it. So either you make the memory now, or you say, well, we can't afford it, so we're not going to do it. And that's what we did. Now, I pushed harder for it. I'm not sure that my wife at the time was totally on board with that, but I really thought it was important, and I fought for it. I thought that was a big deal. And my parents were the same way. I mean, look, you're going to probably develop the way your parents were. And my parents didn't have tons and tons and tons of money, but every Christmas we got a ton of stuff. Yeah, I remember 87, especially 86. I'm sorry, 86. We got, a Nintendo. I mean, that was the biggest thing in the world at that time, right? Had a Nintendo, and had the laser tag guns, and a bunch of other stuff, wrestling figures, and a wrestling ring for the WWF, and all those things. You don't forget that. See, I'm 51 years old. On Saturday, I'll be 51, and I still remember it. I just pulled a hockey jersey out of my closet that I thought I was gone. It was my first ever hockey jersey. It was a Flyers jersey from 1984, Christmas of '84. And I thought it was gone forever, and I found it. And it's ironic, because we're talking about the show. And I don't remember how much that jersey cost at the time, but I'm sure it wasn't cheap. And it wasn't the only gift I got, and my brother or my sister got. We got a bunch of stuff. And I'm sure that my parents spent more money than they really had at the time, with the same idea that I have, that you just get one shot at this and that's it. You don't get do-overs. Now, is there merit to somebody who says, we can't afford this, so we're not going to spend it? Yes. I'm not going to tell somebody they're wrong. If they say, well, you know what, I have to have so much in the bank just in case of an emergency, and this trip to wherever, Disney World or Europe or whatever it is, we just can't do it. Or we can't go on vacations every year. We can't go to sporting events because they're too expensive. That's a decision. Is it the wrong decision? Not necessarily. Everybody's got to come up with their own idea of what's more important. Now, if you ask me my opinion, it's worth going into debt for that. It's worth it because you're building memories that can never happen again. I doubt, highly doubt, that most people, probably very, very few people, would disagree with this. I don't think when you're on your deathbed, you're going to say, wow, I really wish I had more in my bank account tonight. I'm going to die in a couple of hours, but, I don't have quite enough in the bank account at this point. I wish I had more. That would have made my life complete. No, it's going to be the memories that you had with your kids and with your family and what you enjoyed. I see people sometimes, that have money that my uncle used to say, don't cheat your stomach. Meaning, if you have the money and you're hungry and you want something, get it. And he was talking not only about food, but metaphorically as well. So if I go out to dinner right now, yeah, I have to think about what I'm spending because I'm not in a position where I could just frivolously throw money away. But if I have money and I decide I want lobster and surf and turf, lobster and filet mignon, I'm gonna get it because you live once. And even if I spend $100 on a meal, so what? It's not going to change my life in any way, shape, or form. Now, if I did it every night, that's a different story. I get that. But don't cheat your stomach goes for other things. I mean, I have friends that, I really want a sports car. I really want a sports car. They have $250,000 in the bank. Buy the sports car. Why are you holding on? You're in your midlife, right? I'm 50. Again, I'll be 51 in just a few days, 5 days. And if I'm in my 50s, I know that I don't have another 50 years to go. I'm realistic. I know it's probably closer to 30 to 40 if I'm lucky. So if I had the money and I wanted the sports car, buy the sports car. Enjoy it. Because the memories will be there when you're old and your time is running short. Are you going to look back on how much money you had in the account? I mean, I can't imagine that. I mean, it's just a number on a piece of paper. It's not even real. You know? And what is living beyond your means anyway? I mean, you can pay it off. We have credit cards. We have home equity lines of credit. We could take different loans out for college and pay it back over time. So, should we say that nobody should go to college unless they have the money to pay for 4 years of college? Is that really plausible? I mean, most people in the United States, at least, that's not going to happen for most people. You're going to wind up taking out loans. If you're middle class, you're going to take out loans for college. And I can tell you from knowing what colleges cost right now, because my oldest daughter is in a community college because we just don't have the money to afford a more expensive school. And some of the schools are $70,000 a year. Most families today in this world cannot afford it. It is way over the price that they could afford. Now, when I was in college back in the 90s, my mom and dad had a struggle to get us through, and we had to take out some loans. But you're talking about $10,000. You're talking about 12,000, 14,000 for college back then. And if you lived there, it was like 18,000. A lot of money in 1993 to 1997 dollars, but certainly not anywhere near what today is. 70 grand a year. Talking about $250,000 almost for 4 years. And how do kids come out of school and buy a house? This idea that we have to live within our means, I understand that people have that fear of debt, but it's inevitable today unless you are wealthy. A family making $200,000 a year as a unit, not enough. Not enough. Unless you live an extremely modest life. And that's sad because $200,000 should be able to let you live very, very comfortably. And it doesn't. It doesn't. Even $250,000 today is not a tremendous amount of money. Even if you're making 250, I know some people who are making that $250,000 a year. I mean, it's very, very, very good. It's helpful, obviously, but does it mean they're going to be able to retire young? No, not if they have 2 or 3 kids. They won't. Not if they have a big house. They won't. Not if they have modest vehicles that are $40,000. It's not like you could go out and buy a new car for 20,000 like you could before. Now it's 40,000. That's a big jump in only 20 some years. I bought my first new car in 2000. It was, I think, $18,000 for the car. That same car today would cost probably $40,000. It's not commiserate with how much money people make anymore. The cost of things. But at the end of the day, it's everybody's decision. You can do whatever you want, but you know, some people will say to me, "How could you be so frivolous?" It's not, to me, not frivolous, because if I spend it on myself and was reckless, that's one thing. I mean, that's silly. If I went out and bought a $75,000 sports car and took out a loan to do it, and it was, I don't know, $600 a month or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's frivolous. That's something that I don't need, and something that wouldn't make any sense for somebody in my position. But when I had the money, when business was going well, um, the splurging was on things again, like vacations. We went on vacations every year. Hershey Park, we went to. Like I said, we went to Disney World. We did all those fun things. And I have memories of them. They're never going to go away. Time is finite, extremely finite. Money's not. Numbers don't end. There's no end to numbers. It's infinite. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to make an infinite amount of money. Does not mean you're going to be a millionaire. But there are times when it's worth, in my opinion anyway, going into debt and saying, you know what, for the sake of the memories, for the sake of helping your kid, I told my daughter, look, I'll take out loans, and I don't care if I die in debt. If that's what you want, to go through college, and a college of your choice, I'm willing to do it. I don't care. I don't care about the money. I really don't. I don't care about the debt. I don't care if I die in debt. I really don't. If I give my kids everything that I can while I'm alive, then I don't feel bad if they don't have an inheritance at the end. It's just giving it to them earlier. That's all. And again, a lot of people would disagree with that. They'd say, "Are you crazy? You can't die in debt. You can't. You have to make sure you have everything paid before you buy anything else." I bought a house in the Poconos when I was single. When I was uh, how old was I? I was 26, so not super young, but young guy. 26 years old, and I bought a house in the Poconos. I literally put $3,000 down. It was a $95,000 house. And I bought the house, and I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was only making like $30,000 a year. So I had very little saved up. And I put down $3,000 on that house and rolled the rest of it in the mortgage. And two reasons. One, I always wanted a house in the Poconos. I love snow. I love skiing, and I wanted it. So I did it. And two, it was an investment. Real estate is usually a pretty safe investment. And it was rental property. So I was able to make some money on it. And it turns out, and I would love to tell you that I'm a real estate genius and figured this out, but I'm not. But the way it shook out was I really didn't pay a dime for that house. It was all paid for by renters. That includes utilities and everything else. So my mortgage, utilities, everything was paid for by renters. So I literally had equity in a house, but I didn't really put out a penny for it. I mean, that's pretty lucky. And then 3 years later, I turned around and sold it for 182,000 when I bought it for 95,000. So I turned $3,000 into, I netted, I guess, 68,000. Now, again, it doesn't make me a financial genius. There was a bubble at the time. If you remember back then in the mid 2000s, around 2005, there was a bubble in real estate, excuse me. And there was a bubble in real estate, and I happened to catch the bubble at the right time. Now, it wasn't planned, but it worked out well. It very easily could go the other way too. I mean, you might buy a house today, and right now the market's hot. You're going to spend a lot of money for a house, and a year from now, is it going to be worth the same? I don't know. Will the bubble burst? I don't know. Will the economy tank? I don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. Will there be a world war? We don't know. We don't know. Will there be another pandemic? Don't know. So, do you not take chances with money? Do you just hoard it? Do you put it under your mattress? Do you? Some people would. That's all right. It's not going to make you any interest, but that's okay if that's what makes you feel more comfortable. My point is that the money is not going to change your life as far as how happy your life was. Money can't buy happiness. No, it can help you with security, certainly. And that takes pressure off. There's no doubt about it. You feel pressure when you don't have money. It just is what it is. But if you just focus in on how much money can I accumulate and you don't spend it, what's the point of it? It's green paper. That's it. I look at people who are billionaires and they're working. And look, if you're working because you love it, great, do it. But if you're a millionaire, multimillionaire, now if you have 1 million, that's not enough. You're still working. Even 2 million is probably not enough to retire on now. I mean, that's sad, but it's true. It's tough. I mean, you have to watch what you spend. Where 20 years ago, if you had $2 million, you could pretty much do almost anything you wanted. You could retire, you could go travel. Not anymore. It's not quite that easy. You got to hit 3, 4, 5 million before you're in that position now. But people ask me, like, if you had multi-millions, would you work? No, I would do what I want to do. I would do TV shows like this. I would um, travel. I would take my kids places. I would buy a house that I really loved. I would buy a Porsche because I always wanted a Porsche. Those things are probably never going to happen, and I know that. But I would not say, well, let me see how high I can get the money in that bank account because that'll be really cool to look at the zeros. Why? What's the reason for it? Doesn't make any difference. So, like my Uncle Bobby used to say, don't cheat your stomach. And again, just metaphorically, if you want something and you can afford it, get it. But at the same time, even if you can't afford it, sometimes it is worth making a move. Sometimes in business, people gamble all the time. I did. I made some decisions that didn't work out, and I spent thousands of dollars on those decisions and failed. But I'd rather that than sit back and try to wonder, what if I would have tried it? Would I have made it? Going forward when I start making money again and I have a great job and financially doing really well. Yeah, I'm going to take some chances with the money. I'm not going to be frivolous about it. I'm not going to be crazy and just throw it away. But I might invest in different things and different projects that I want to do and see what happens. Sylvester Stallone is a great example. I mean, he couldn't even keep his dog because he had no money and he couldn't afford to feed the dog. And he wrote Rocky, and they told him, we'll buy it off you for 300 and some thousand. Now, here's a guy that's got no money, and they're offering him 300,000. And he said no, because he wanted to act in the movie. He wanted to be Rocky. And they said, no, we don't want you. We want Burt Reynolds or somebody else. They were looking at a bunch of different actors who were already well established. He said no. And then they bumped up the offer, I think, to $500,000. And this is in the 70s, 1976. So that'd be like the equivalent of like 2 million today. And he said, no, I want to be in the movie. And he was in the movie. Now, he took a chance. He booted 500,000. But by doing that, he made himself a multi-millionaire, because then everybody knew the name Sylvester Stallone, and he was able to write more Rocky movies and Rambo and Cliffhanger and all the other ones that he did. Whether you like him as an actor or not, it doesn't matter. He took a stand and he gambled and he won. Right. Now, Dr. Jacqueline wrote some things, and I think it's important we talk about this. Having experience and memories is priceless. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And she said, I know many people who are wealthy and very unhappy. They are consumed with their fear of losing money. There is a fear of losing money. People do have that phobia, I guess you'd call it. That what if I lose it all? Well, I mean, if you're not doing things that are just off the wall, you're probably not going to lose it. And you can always make money back. I've said this before on other shows. I've gone out to dinner with people, and this drives me crazy. When it's like 10 people at a restaurant, and people are looking at the bill and trying to figure out down to the penny who owes what. It's like, oh my goodness, just please, just split the bill 10 ways. You know, that's it. Just split the bill. Well, you had an appetizer and you didn't, and you had a drink and you didn't. Yeah, granted, if somebody buys, a 2,000 bottle uh, of champagne, a $2,000 bottle of champagne, yeah, all right, that's a different story. But if somebody had a glass of wine or somebody had a dessert or whatever, then really are we gonna pinch the pennies down to, well, you owe 32.50 and you owe 61.22? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? And Dr. Jacqueline says money's a tool. It's energy. It comes and goes. That's exactly right. And let me tell you, in this world we're in now, it goes more than it comes. It really does. No matter what you do. I mean, think about homes right now. Homes are going for, in my neighborhood in Cherry Hill, 500 plus, 600, some 700,000. 700,000. That's a ton of money for most people. When I was a kid, I remember, well, when I say kid, 20-ish, 1920. I knew some people who were making $30,000 a year. And I remember thinking, wow, they're making $30,000 a year. They're pretty set. And at the time, they kind of were. They were doing okay. They could afford a house. They could afford a car. They could, put money away. They could put in a pool if they wanted a pool. And that was okay. $30,000 today, you're barely going to be able to eat. It's just not anywhere near enough. You have a kid or two, that 30,000 is just, I mean, you're going to wind up with 3 jobs. So do you just say, well, I can't afford anything, so I'm not going to do it? Or do you say, you know what, to hell with it. I'm gonna spend beyond my means, and if I die in debt, I die in debt. That's my choice. That's my choice. I'll probably die in debt because I'm not going to cheat my stomach, and I'm not going to cheat my kids. If they need a house and they can't take out a loan, I would be willing to do it and take on the debt. And again, people will look at me like I'm crazy and say, "Well, you don't have, all you, or you're making a mistake. You're spending money you don't have." No, I'm not. I'm doing what is necessary at the time for my own children, possibly grandchildren down the road. When I die, that's all I'll think about. When I'm laying on my deathbed and I have an hour to go, I'm not going to be thinking anything about what I worked for and what I accomplished. None of it. I'll be thinking about, did I do well by my kids, my family, my friends? That's it. That's it. And, if you disagree, you can disagree. I'm not saying that everyone's going to think the same way. That's fine. But, that's how I feel. And another thing that I've seen before, and some people get very angry about this. When people go to places for fun and they pay for their food with food stamps. And people say, well, how dare they? How dare they go to this park or this zoo or whatever it is, or this museum or whatever, and take their kids, and they don't have the money to even afford food. They're on food stamps. They're on support. Oh, Robert's got a comment. Robert, please. Hey, Robert. Good to have you back on the show. Robert's here almost every week. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you checking in. But people on food stamps need to enjoy their life too, and need to get their kids experiences. You're really going to begrudge somebody because they're spending the little money they have on a day trip to the shore, or to an arcade or to an amusement park or even a vacation and they're on food stamps? And are you going to say, oh, they're playing the system? They're spending money on something that they can't afford. All right, fine. Why do you begrudge them that? How much are you spending on their vacation? Well, it's my tax dollars. Really? Your tax dollars are probably about, I don't know, 30 cents to that food stamps. It's extremely low. Extremely low. You're not getting robbed. They're not taking money out of your pocket and putting it into theirs. That's not what happening at all. Now, is it change? Yeah. You can't afford 30 cents. It's a 30 cents times the however many billion people are in the United States today that allows these things to happen. So no, I don't get mad when I see somebody on food stamps going on vacations or doing things that are probably outside of their means because they have to live one life too, and they need they should not have to justify why they are taking their kids somewhere because they're doing the same thing I did. The only difference is I'm allowed to do it and people don't get angry because I'm not on food stamps and I'm not uh on any kind of assistance. And let's be honest, also race has something to do with it too, unfortunately. If I was not Caucasian and I did something like that, if I was on food stamps and I was Caucasian, not Caucasian, then yeah, people would probably look at it and say, "Oh, how dare they do that?" Where being Caucasian, you have a little bit of leeway that other people don't enjoy, and that's not right either. But I've seen that. I've seen that. People get so angry that other people are using what little bit they have to enjoy their life. Do you want it? Do you want to take it away from them? Do you want them not to go to a toy store or go on Amazon and have some gifts for their kids? If they buy their kid a bike and it costs them 2 weeks worth of pay and they are late on their rent, they're late on their mortgage, whatever it is, does that bother you? And if it does, ask yourself why. Why does that bother you? I don't. Oh, we got 3 comments. All right, let's take the 3 comments. Great. Robert says, why should they care? Robert, I'm totally 100% lockstep with you in this. I don't know why. I really don't. Okay. Oh, there's Rachel. Rachel's here. I racked up debt, but I traveled the world. I have those memories. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Rachel is a very smart person. I've known her, I've said this before, probably what, 30 some years now. She doesn't throw money around. Robert says, I mind my own business. Yeah. And Robert said, that's right, Rachel. Good. And I'm sure Antoinette's listening too, Rachel's daughter. So Antoinette, hello. Um, but yeah, I mean, what I hear sometimes is people say, not on my dime. Well, it literally is probably just 3 dimes. When you're talking about social programs, you're not talking about you giving up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's not. If you look at it, if you break it down, it's cents, it's change, it's less than $1. So all you're doing really is you're begrudging other people, you're angry at other people, and it's burning you up inside. You're aggravated. How dare they do that? They're taking my money. And what's it doing for you? Is it making you feel better, or is it making you have sweats and angry and tense and your jaw hurts? And why are you doing that to yourself for 68 cents? I don't get it. So I hope that, and again, I'm not trying to convince anybody that they should spend outside their own means. If they say, look, I can't do it, I just can't. I'll only spend what I can. And I'll count 5 potato chips and I'll eat 5 potato chips at a meal. Okay. That's your decision. If that makes you feel good, do it. It's okay. You don't need my permission, but it's okay. But I'm on the other side of the tracks where I don't need permission. I don't need anybody to tell me what I'm doing is wrong or give me better advice. And a financial advisor saying, well, you don't have this much money, so don't do this, don't do that. No. Just like Rachel just brought up, she went to Europe. right? And I think she said Europe. She traveled anyway, and she spent more money and she went into debt. You can't be a middle class America today without being in debt. It's virtually impossible unless you don't do anything. If you buy a very small home, you have only a child. If you have a child, if or you don't have children. Um, if you don't go out to dinners, if you don't buy cars that are more than you maybe buy used cars instead of new cars, that's really the only way you're going to be able to make it as a middle class American right now. It just is. If you have two kids, you're going to send them to college. In my case, two daughters, two weddings, perhaps. I mean, weddings today, if you skimp 30, 40,000, if you don't skimp 60, 70,000, you're talking about a DJ, right? 5 grand, photographer, 7, 8 grand. What are you going to do? Tell your kids, no, I'm not going to have, you can't have a wedding. You have a barbecue in the yard. I mean, maybe you will. Maybe some people are like, yeah, you know what? Maybe that's the answer. We'll just have 50 people over, have a barbecue in the yard. Okay, if that's what you want. But if you look at your child and they say, Dad, I really want to, or Mom, I really want to have the fancy wedding with the dress and all the bridesmaids and groomsmen, and I want a big party afterwards, right, with tuxedos and do it, do it. And if you have to pay it off over 5 years, pay it off over 5 years. Because again, when you're laying on that bed, are you going to think, gee, I'm glad I saved that money on that wedding. I didn't spend it. Or are you going to say, gee, I'm really glad I went into debt and spent that money because my daughter was thrilled and she'll have that memory for the rest of her entire life. It was well worth the money spent. Which one? Which one? I know for me, it's a slam dunk. I know which one. For some people, it's not. It's a constant back and forth in their mind. Or for some people, it's the complete opposite. And there's no moving that. That's where they are, and that's where they're going to stay. And again, that's okay. I'm not telling you that the answer is change your mind. What I am telling you is there are two ways to look at it. And it goes back to what I said in the beginning with Monopoly. It's exciting, it's fun when you're winning. But once that game's over and everybody else is out of the game and you won, the thrill's gone. The money goes back in the box, the properties go back in the box, the houses and the hotels go back in the box, and then you don't play again for no. So you got 2 hours, 3 hours of fun, and that's great. But then it's over, and that's what life is, right? Like life is, in simplistically, like you could say, it's like Monopoly. You're playing the game. It's a finite amount of time, and you have to decide what are the best decisions to have the best life you can have. Do I buy Boardwalk? Do I not buy Boardwalk? Do I buy the cheaper properties and load up on hotels because they're cheaper? Or do I save my money and try to get Boardwalk and Park Place and load up on those when it's going to cost me $2,000 per hotel or whatever it is? I mean, there are two ways of looking at it. One is, well, you could be the quote Roach Motel owner, and you can make little bits at a time and accrue money slowly, or you could swing the bat for a home run and go after the big properties and see what you can do with those. Is there a right way or wrong way? No, it's the way that you decide to do it. But listen to Uncle Bobby. I think that's probably the best advice I would give my kids or uh, any young person that came to me, or no matter anybody who came to me and they said, I really, really want this. I really want to enjoy this, and I don't know if I could afford it. As long as it's not so far out of your range that it's ridiculous. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? I'm 51 years in. I don't have another 51. I don't have a ton of money, but I'm not going to let it ruin my whole life because am just going to say, well, you know what? I have to save and save and save. I'm not. I'm not going to do it. So as we wrap up, the answer to what I think the answer is to this question is what's more valuable, time versus money. I think time wins 100% of the time. I think time is finite, as I said before. Money's not. You could always make the money back. Doesn't mean you will, but you could. We know for a fact you can't get the time back. So if your kids are 10 right now, or if your kids are 11 and they still believe in magic and Santa and the Easter Bunny and all that kind of stuff, whatever they believe, and you're wondering, what should I do? Should I spend the money now or should I hold on to it? Ask yourself what it's worth. I did. I don't think I made the wrong decision. All right. So I want to thank everybody for their time, for Robert and Rachel chatting in. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you. And remember, coming in the new year, we're going to be having another show. I'll be hosting with various hosts, and we're going to be talking about sports. But we're not going to be doing sports like you see on ESPN or other networks. We're not going to talk about current sports. We're going to talk about nostalgia, sports nostalgia. And we're still trying to come up with a name for that show. I'm going to look at it this week and we'll decide. But it should be really interesting and fun to do. And we'll have some really cool co-hosts and guests. All right. So I want to again thank everybody, Dr. Jacqueline, for her work behind the scenes, and hope you join me again next week. It'll be the last show of the year for us next week. So hope you tune in then. Have a great rest of the week.
Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now.
In a noisy world, true connection begins with listening. Elevated listening transforms every conversation in just 5 simple steps. Pause and breathe. Set your intention. Listen with curiosity. Reflect back. Agree on one next step. Join the Listening Mentor on Let's Finally Talk with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, where we help you find inner peace, one conversation at a time. Streaming every day. Let's Finally Talk TV show with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, only here on USA, Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch and engage with all our content.
Which of these 5 statements sounds mostly like you? 1. I often wake up in the middle of the night worrying about my future. 2. I'm angry or resentful towards a specific person. 3. I have anxious, obsessive, compulsive thoughts throughout the day. 4. I have an addiction like smoking, drinking, shopping, sugar, or social media. And 5, I feel that I'm wasting away my life. Hello, I'm Dr. Alkistis Agio, and for over 25 years, I've been coaching and training people from all over the world to transform their fears, insecurities, anxiety, and anger into mental and emotional freedom. I'm confident that my simple 3-step method based on Greek philosophy can help you to transform into the joyful, confident, free human being that you deserve to be. I want to invite you to join my weekly online coaching group to finally get the results that you want. Look, you've tried it alone so far, and you've had some okay results. But let's face it, you're still feeling stuck right now, spinning your wheels. Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, unless you realize this as a fact, that you are a prisoner of your own mind, you can't move forward. I'm here to support you, as well as the whole community that we are co-creating. Stop feeling stuck. Stop feeling depressed. You don't have to do it alone, and alone isn't working anyway. Sign up today, and I'll meet you on the inside of our amazing weekly group call. I guarantee that you'll make progress from the very first session.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.